show on the road. I'll call the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for May 9th at 2022 at 7 p.m. To order. For the first item on the agenda, calling to order and seating of alternates. I don't see any alternates, and I think, and there's Janet, so we have a
Yes.
full board contingency. Okay, and if Luther or Doug, and I believe John is on vacation, so we probably won't hear from him. But if they join us, obviously they're part of the discussion, but we do have a full membership board, so we can move forward. I am looking for the approval of the minutes of the April 11th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second,
Alex, thank you. Who seconded?
Dick Williams.
Thank you, Dick. And Valerie, you're good? You're moving along fine?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to check. I'm sorry I didn't check with you earlier. Any discussion on the minutes? Yes, Janet? Muted.
You're muted.
Muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a correction on page 3. On the top of the page, it has never mind. I just realized it's correct. Never mind. Sorry.
Just a grammatical interpretation?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes from April 11th, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Abstentions?
Jerry Dufresne abstains.
Okay,
Wasn't at the meeting.
thank you, Jerry. So that would be 8-1. Okay, so moved. The minutes are approved. Moving on to public comment. Open up to the public. Any public comment out there from anyone? Yes, Bill.
Good evening. I'm not sure I'm public as an ex officio of the board, but I just wanted to make a couple of quick statements. Although I sat in on your last meeting, I wasn't vocal and I didn't mention anything, but I did just want to take the opportunity as your first selectman to thank all of you for your efforts and your work on our Planning and Zoning Commission. Needless to say, our community or town wouldn't be where we are or what we are right now without hard, diligent work of people like you and other volunteers in town. And yeah, I want you to know it's much appreciated, both as your first selectman, but as a private resident in the town. I don't think people realize the time and the energies that it takes to do what you do for us, taking time away from your families and your job and perhaps going out and mowing your lawn like I should be doing. But it is appreciated. And again, we wouldn't be what we are without you folks. The only thing I could do ask you to do is try to encourage neighbors and friends of yours to get involved. We do have a couple of positions on other boards and that need help. And I know when I started to get involved with, decided to make a conscious effort of getting involved with our community over 30 years ago, the first thing that I did for about 2 years was monitor the Planning and Zoning Commission's meetings, because I believe you guys are at the heart of not only what we're doing present day, but also planning for the future. And it's
Excuse me, Bill, just one thing. Is that your office making that noise?
it may be
Scanner?
getting back. Let me shut off my.
It's okay. If it's not bothering you, I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't coming
Yeah.
from someplace else. That's
Got
fine.
the two-way radio on with emergency services.
No
I'll
problem.
shut
Go
it
right
down
ahead.
after. But anyway, for almost 2 years, probably over 2 years, I was a regular attendee to all the planning and zoning, just because I think you folks are at the crux of not only the planning, but day-to-day efforts in our community, but long-term planning. And it's critical to what we do here. So just wanted to say thank you, and you're much appreciated. Thanks, Jeff.
Bill, thank you for your kind comments, and I'm sure all the board members appreciate that, appreciate your recognition, and and it's a good point, taking it to heart and getting people involved and becoming part of the community, not just sitting on the outside looking in. So thank you for your kind words.
Much deserved.
Any other public comment? Except for Bill. Thank you. Okay. Alex, any bills?
I have no bills.
Bills. And any correspondence?
None.
No correspondence. Okay, very good. So Valerie, we will now move into the public hearing section of our meeting. And to read the announcement, Town of Ashford Planning and Zoning Commission. Ashford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a virtual public hearing on Monday, May 9th at 7 p.m. to consider the following application. Planning and Zoning -22-2, 38 to 40 Pompano Hollow Road, otherwise known as the United Baptist Church of Ashford. Special permit modification per section 300-17.c number 9 to construct a 30-foot by 76-foot outdoor pavilion. Applicant is Andrew Campbell. Application materials have been available at the town hall for review, and details on how to attend the virtual meeting posted in the commission's agenda. At this meeting, public comment will be heard and written communication received. This was published on April 26th and on May 3rd as per state statutes. I see Paul Varga joining us. Okay. So we will open up the public hearing. All of the materials, which would include the application itself, the site plan with that, also a aerial view of the proposed location of the pavilion / stage, a artist rendition of it, all have been provided by Mike, as well as the letter to the abutting neighbors to the property from the United Baptist Church, and also the Eastern Highland District approval of the site with just the following conditions, and we can get into that as we have discussion. So at this point, I would open it up first to, well, again, just a few ground rules. It's mostly folks that are here as opposed to general public, but again, please, any public comments out there, please make them to the commission, ideally the commissioner myself, but to the commission. It's not a back and forth at this point. We will have some time for questions from the commission to the applicant from the commission. If anyone has any discussion, we ask you to keep your comments brief. We don't have a lot of people on, but 5 minutes should do as a maximum. And again, everyone cordial, everyone respectful, and we appreciate your time. Please appreciate ours. With that, I open it up to Andrew Campbell, as well as Pastor Pat, who seems to be in the view there too. And just to talk to us about your application, please.
Mike, I have a PowerPoint. I don't know if I can share my screen.
Yeah, give me 1 second. You should be all set.
Is this gonna work?
I can see both of you okay.
There we go.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission of Ashford. My name is Andrew Campbell, member of Living Proof Church, United Baptist Church of Ashford. I am here today as the project lead for the proposed pavilion. We come to you seeking approval for special permit application PZ 22-2. During the past 2 years, we have faced some of the most difficult times. Families have been being separated, death of loved ones, and fear of coronavirus. During the early parts of COVID, we as a church, as many other organizations, were forced to shut the doors and stop meeting in person. During this time, a small group of people worked together to record Sunday services from home to help give people hope and normalcy. As the weather began to get better around April and May, we decided that what we were doing was not good enough and we needed to find another solution. At this point, the governor relaxed his outdoor meeting limits and we decided that it would be worth trying to meet outside. We took a leap of faith and bought new sound equipment, built a platform for an outdoor stage, and bought some large event tents. Turns out this would be a highly liked and a permanent solution for church during the summer. Through the 2 years of outdoor services, we were able to give people a safe place to go and somewhere they were comfortable being. As most of you know, the coronavirus has not been easy on a lot of businesses. This goes for the churches. Churches across the country were forced to close their doors for good because they couldn't sustain not meeting regularly. We were fortunate enough to have a prime location to be able to host outdoor services in our large field, and through that, keep our doors open and help giving people hope in such a hard time. The reason we are building this pavilion is to provide a permanent location for our outdoor services, worship concerts, vacation Bible school, and church gatherings. We have seen an incredible result in community outreach through our outdoor services and events, and we would like to continue to do this for years to come. The proposed location of the pavilion is on the northeast corner of the property facing south toward Route 44. The adjacent properties are as follows. To the north, there is the Ashford Senior Center, the Ashford Senior Housing, and the gazebo where the town-sponsored events are held, such as summer concerts and family day. To the east, there's the farmer's market. To the south is Route 44, Cumberland Farms, Knowlton Hall, and then to the west is the Frank Residence and St. Philip's Church. And in the picture, you can see where the gazebo and the pavilion is projected to be. The gazebo is on the top of the page, and then that is where the sound projection is. And then same for our pavilion on the bottom. It's the sound projection is the red. The pavilion is to be 30 by 76 feet and a 10-foot eave height. It is to be constructed with laminate columns and beams, 2x6 tongue and groove pine ceiling, and a green metal roof. A rear storage space measuring 6 feet by 26 feet is to be placed at the north end of the pavilion with a 10-foot by 26-foot stage abutting the front face of the storage enclosure. Sound is to be projected out from the stage, which faces south toward Route 44, like it has been for the past 2 years. To conclude, the pavilion presented today would give us a permanent home for our outdoor summer events, would have little impact on the surrounding area, and would allow us to continue to reach the community and give hope to those in need. Just go through some pictures real quick of some of the products that are out there that ours are similar to. And then what we've been doing for the past 2 years. As you can see, we've been using large tents, which take upkeep and aren't the prettiest, and the final result will be much better than what we were doing and look much better than what we had. And then that's the site plan where it's going to go. At this point, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Alex, I still-
Go right ahead, Nort. Go right ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have one. Is there going to be lighting into this pavilion?
Yeah, there will be lighting on the ceiling. We don't expect to do too much lighting, and
What type of
Gonna be-
lighting you're going to use?
you know, the lighting in garages, they're like 4-foot LED strip lights.
Okay, so it's not going to go out and go to neighbors or anything, correct? No floodlights?
There'd be floodlight, like security lights on motion sensors or at the time of events. We're not throwing events out.
Well, you should
Pass.
check with floodlights about going out to the neighbors. Because they try to keep the sky dark. So if you start, we want floodlights going out to the neighbors.
Yep. Yeah, it would be on motion sensors for just
I'm not
security.
talking about motion sensors. Besides that, I'm talking about the lighting shooting onto the neighbors. It's
Okay.
Okay. You have to be careful of that. You have to have down lighting today. Flood lighting is not allowed anymore.
Okay.
Also, you're gonna have a sound system.
Yep.
And what's that gonna be?
It's two 12-inch speakers that we've been using for the past 2 years. They're powered speakers.
It's the same equipment you've been using, as you said, for the past 24 months.
Yep.
Okay. And the last one is, do we have an hours of operation?
So for Sunday services, usually the band starts practicing at 9 o'clock on Sunday. Church starts at 10 and we're usually out by noon. If we have an event afterward, it usually goes a couple hours, so till like 2 o'clock. And then anything that was at night would be done probably by 10 o'clock, if not earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Janet.
What are you doing about drainage? Do you have water? Are you having gutters?
We plan eventually to put gutters on it, and then there will be drains that go into the ground, and then like a what's it called? It would go into like a stone drain.
Like a dry well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because I noticed it's not too far from your leach field. I don't know
Yeah,
what the ground, I don't know what the soil there is like.
So any drainage would go off the backside. So the north end of it, opposite side of the leach field.
And has the senior center had any issues with noise? Because you're very close to it.
We haven't heard any noise, and all the noise that we would be producing would actually go away from the building. And like I said, they have, right now, there's the gazebo that they do Tuesday night summer concerts at, family day and all that kind of stuff.
And I'm sorry, what was your point on that, Andrew?
That there's an event space right in front of the senior center that creates noise. And
I don't think that's as close to the senior center as yours is, but since you're not using it all the time, that makes a difference too, I think.
Janet, I'm a member of the senior center and I'm over there all the time. I'm a volunteer. I drive the bus for them. But anyways, there's been no complaints about the Baptist church services or sound or anything else at the senior center that I know of.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Nord.
We've actually had a number of them come over to the sidewalk at the senior center, come over as far as the sidewalk and the benches to listen in.
Oh,
Yes, Bill, you
Because
had
they
something.
can't really quite hear from the benches over on their side. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to verify, Jeff, to the best of my knowledge, and I know during my short tenure here as first selectman, we've got no complaints about any of the Sunday practices or anything that are going on there. In fact, I've got a couple of compliments about them, so.
That's very similar to what Pastor Pat was saying. I guess, does anyone else have any comments? I had a few just to mention. So it's a good sized structure. I mean, 22, almost 2,300 square feet. So your drainage, you said, was on the back side, which is actually towards the senior center, is what that's telling me. And I do know that when it comes to the leach field and the septic and everything, Eastern Highlands did give you an approval with a couple of conditions on here having to do with, I guess, not current septic needs, but future septic needs. Does that sound right as to what they were expressing?
Yes.
Okay. Code complying for future septic system repair has been identified on the property and maintain 10 feet from septic tank and leaching field. And in your diagram, you do show 23 feet from the leach field.
Yep.
So that's good. One of the things that jumped out at me, and maybe it's just because I'm kind of litigation shy, is the language in the application said not planning to rent as opposed to will not be rented out to others. Is that something that we can get some type of statement towards, or, you know?
Yeah, I
I
mean, we can,
understand using it for your own needs is great, is fantastic, and it's been a good thing for you for the past 2 years. What I don't want to see is it turning into a commercial venue of any way.
yeah, no, we can change that if it's necessary to will not.
Nope. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Even your statement itself was helpful. It also looks like it does, even with its size, at first I was concerned, but it does meet all the side and rear setbacks. Mike, you confirm on that?
Yep.
Okay. And you did mention you're cognizant of it. You know, I don't want it to be a battle of the bands on Tuesday evenings in the summer between your activities. So as long as that's coordinated with the rec commission for, you know, as I said, you know, whose bass is louder, not that taking place in downtown Ashford would be a great thing. So again, coordinating with the rec commission on a regular basis would be a helpful thing going forward for us.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, trying to be careful of our wording or whatever, you know, I think you guys know our heart, but like one of the reasons why we said not renting it or whatever, like if they want to have a rain date, because they cancel, if they want to have a rain date, they could use our pavilion, you know, and things like that. And so, you know,
Well,
just to be cautious of like how exactly we worded that, you know, because if Sherry wanted that to be available for a rain opportunity, so she doesn't have to lose the investment she made in the bands and things like that, which typically she just loses the amount she paid if it rains.
Right, especially when a thunderstorm rolls in at the last minute.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that very much. The town appreciates that and your willingness to offer that up. You know, if this does come to fruition, then you know, that's something for Sherry to keep in mind, obviously in the rec department. Those were my very limited questions and statements. Alex does bring up a good point that when it does come time for construction, to ask to please be cognizant of the lighting restrictions and lighting rules for the town. Again, we're trying to keep it a dark area, downward lighting, not upward lighting. And I know sometimes security requires that, and even accessibility for people, especially if you're having a nighttime thing, as to what the nature of your lighting is. So it'd be great if you could keep that in mind also when the building department comes for its inspection. Any other questions from the commission?
Well, I was just wondering, Mr. Chair, if instead of saying not renting, perhaps the church would want the ability to rent to their own members for a wedding or some family events. Would that be acceptable to people? Or is that, Pastor Pat, is that something you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean,
doing?
we have, you know, part of the reason that it's tricky is we've been in business since since 1770, 1740 something, our church has
You
been
look
in
good.
town.
You look good
And
for
so,
that. That's great.
you know, so like, since we've been here for an eternity, it's really, and we'll be here for an eternity more. It's hard to, you know, you want to be cautious about eternal words, so to speak. But I promise you that we have no intent to for church members, we only do weddings for church members. We have no interest in being in the wedding business for renting out to parties and things, no interest whatsoever. You know, and so if you want to clarify, no outside events or something like that, you know, we're happy with that. But yeah, I mean, obviously church members would be here and, you know, using it for baby showers or, you know, picnics or stuff like that, but those wouldn't be loud events, you know, ever.
Well, again, I don't think we're looking to step on your flexibility too, because you
Right.
will have a new venue to use effectively for your church members.
Right.
Should the commission approve the movement forward, then again, we're not looking to limit you and your activities, especially with the track record you've had over the last 2 years of the outdoor activities you've been doing, and you know, without a single complaint, without any issues from the community at this point. So you know, I think when we go into the meeting itself to discuss, maybe we can come up with some language that is amenable to both groups, that allows you the flexibility, but still limits some of its commercial viability.
Yeah, Jeff, this is Dick. I was going to wait till we had our meeting, but since everyone is making comments, I thought it appropriate to weigh in. As I read through all the materials and having been a past member of the Living Proof Church, I don't think anything that is being proposed as far as use is different than what's gone on for the past 2 years or so. So the only difference is that it's a more permanent facility, more suitable, that's not going to get blown over with a strong wind like the tents would be. So its use is going to be the same as what it's been in the past. It's just a more permanent facility, and it's going to be built in a way, I'm sure, reading through the materials, that is in conformance with current building codes and the like. So, you know, as far as use goes, I think there's no major change in use here at all. I know, Pat, am I?
No, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dick. Any other comments? And this is awfully open to the public also now. Any public comments out there? Wow, it's hard to count those 13 seconds that I was instructed to usually have to wait. It's an uncomfortable silence, but no, thank you. And with that, I would bring us to closing the public hearing at this point. Andrew, Pastor Pat, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the update and the explanation on what you're doing, what you have been doing. Obviously, we're going to close the hearing. You are more than welcome to stay for the meeting and the discussion, or look us up online to see what the result was. But again, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So with that, we will close the public hearing. And move on to a simple item on here for number 7, unfinished business. Again, going back into our Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 7:25. So affordable housing plan update. Hopefully most of you have seen in the Citizen that the survey did go out. I want to thank the members of the subcommittee, Dick Williams, Janet, Stephanie Dubinsky, and obviously Mike, for putting together the survey. People have access to it through a Q code reader. They also have access by putting in the URL. I also want to thank Janet and Stephanie Dubinsky for their Herculean efforts at getting responses and getting people to respond. They were very active at both the food bank, representing the Planning and Zoning Commission, and getting people to take the time to fill out the survey. And also at the transfer station. I don't know if that was 2 days or 1 day. Janet, were you there?
1 day.
1 day. But would you like to give a quick update on your success?
Yeah, we have 48 surveys completed. We also included the senior center, and the senior center director is going to have them available Saturday when she has a health fair, so we should get more there. I also got my pickleball players to fill them out, and we have permission from the farmers market to have a table there as well. So I wasn't sure, Mike, do you know how many have come in online?
I got a notification that the responses were coming in. I don't have a total number. I was just wanting to make sure that the link worked. And so I know that people are taking it.
And what's our timeline to have this finished?
So my recommendation, I mean, we usually leave it open for at least a couple of weeks, just to give people the opportunity to hear about it and sit down and actually take it. If we don't have it available and open long enough, it's hard to get a substantial number of results. So I would say at least a couple of more weeks, because we want to get enough responses that the data is useful.
What was your target number, were you thinking?
It's tough, you know, it can be really hit or miss. We've done these for towns smaller than Ashford and gotten 600 responses, and we've gotten towns of larger numbers and only gotten 100. So, you know, I think anything less than 100 is, I don't think there's much we can take away from that.
That's what Stephanie and I thought. So, okay.
Yeah, this is Dick.
Hang on, Bill.
Janet, I think all of the responses that you've collected have all been paper responses to date. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I was hoping Mike would have a number of who actually clicked on the scan code and actually completed the form. I did that myself, and I found it, you know, okay to do. I went looking in the Citizen for the where this was, and found it. I think I went through the Citizen 3 times before I found it. It was kind of innocuous in the middle of the Citizen, not on the front page or close to the front, and the overall artwork that was used, it kind of blended into everything else. I did a very unscientific survey of several people that did not have smartphones, and showed them the ad that was there and asked them if they would log on and do anything about it. Of the 3 people I spoke to, all 3 said that they were too busy to bother typing in a URL to take the survey. Of people that had smartphones but weren't like super on top of using them, I spoke to 4 people there, and all 4 of them chose not to participate. So I'm very curious, Mike, as to what kind of participation you get. And apparently there's not enough time for another placement in the next Citizen. We've missed that window. Is that correct?
Actually, no, usually it's the 19th of the month is the cutoff for the Citizen, the upcoming Citizen.
Yeah, so if we met again, I guess if we met well, it would be the 19th of May. So by the time we meet again, we would be pushing out two versions. I think when I checked this morning, there were about 10 responses online. I also have created a portion of the website which has the survey, the presentation, has a brief narrative. I mean, we can run it in the newspaper like we would a legal notice. It just doesn't have the every single house distribution. We can also use some of the other communication points that the town has available, we can explore that and just try to see if we can. I think the town at least used to have a Facebook page. We might be able to get people that way as well. We had some pretty good luck with Willington doing it that way.
Yeah, my comments to you are not meant to be personally critical. It's just, I was surprised that it didn't, stand out and hit me over the head. It was kind of difficult to notice in the Citizen. So, I mean, I think a bit more promotional, make it a full page and some things that encourage people to respond, like, do you care about affordable housing? These are the issues we're facing. If you do, please click here and, participate and make your voice heard. It just kind of went under the radar for myself and everyone else that I asked about it.
Bill, you were wanting to say something.
Yeah, I was just, do we have it on the town webpage?
Yeah, I have the stuff that as we've been going through on the land use portion of the page. If there's another place that you wanted to put it, we could certainly, well, I guess we'd have to talk to Cheryl, but
Well,
that's it.
Well, I mean, I think it's worthy of being, putting some sort of a notice right on the front page of the webpage. And I know that we're still trying to encourage people to utilize, but we have text.my.gov that at least we could put a reminder on that to try to get out. I think we had to utilize every resource we have, and I'll be happy to try to, Mike, maybe we could touch base, during the week here and try to put some emphasis on it, on the resources that we do have.
Maybe if we could get a special link on the side that runs down with some of the more current and up-to-date issues that are going on.
That's what I'm thinking.
That runs down the right side on the website.
Yep.
And again, I did think of text.my.gov before, but I didn't know if we had an open slot that we could have put that into.
Well, we've just put another category, although we haven't had a lot of people sign up for it yet.
Yeah.
Under either first selectman or town alerts. And I would think this would, at least for some sort of a headline, directing them to where they could go to take the survey would be helpful.
Okay, well, thank you for the support, Bill. Appreciate that. And again, I would encourage all members, as Dick is doing his own grassroots efforts. I would ask all the members to reach out. Again, directing people to the website, directing people to the Citizen itself. To take the survey, give us the input. Hopefully they find the issues of affordable housing important enough to take the time to type in a URL and to give their thoughts on 10 or 12 questions that can help Ashford, that can definitely help Ashford going forward. Yes, Bill.
Yeah, just another thought. While
Hang on, Catherine. Go ahead, Bill.
Just another thought that I had while you were talking there, Jeff, is have we tried to utilize any of the local churches, at least on their bulletins? I know St. Philip's, we have a weekly bulletin, maybe just a little blurb referencing people to where to go to fill this out. I'm sure St. Philip's would accommodate them. I don't want to speak for the other churches, but you'd be surprised on how many local people those get to.
I don't think we did make an effort that way as part of the subcommittee. We didn't make an effort with the churches. We went to some of the areas that we mentioned before, such as the good old transfer station, the food bank, the senior center, the library. I know Janet made some inroads with the library, I believe.
No, we did not do the library since the head librarian's been out.
Oh, that's right, Carolyn.
Yeah,
Carolyn
but
was
I
right,
am
that's right.
going to be at the library tomorrow, and I'm also going to be working at the health fair on Saturday, so that if you want me to push it, I shall do that.
What time are you at the
Okay.
library, Catherine?
I'm going to be there after 10 o'clock to help with the children's program.
Well, I could stop by with some surveys.
Great,
For
I'll
you.
be there.
Okay.
Good. And I'll
Um,
I'll also be over at the senior center on Saturday for the health fair. Okay?
Pastor Pat didn't stay on the meeting, but he
I-
has an email distribution that he puts out at least weekly. So I think, Mike, if you were to.
he's right there. He's still with
Okay.
us.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk or not, but we'd be happy to pass something out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. We had a good response at the food bank.
Great. So how
Would
many
we-
people? Yeah, I didn't know how many people would be willing to, but I'm glad they did.
Of course, it turned out it was the lowest turnout for the food bank in a year.
I heard that there was a bunch of boxes left behind that day. I'm like, wow.
Bill, is there a contact, or would you be willing to move forward to bring something forward if you worked with Mike to bring something forward to St. Philip's?
I'd be happy to help coordinate that.
Okay, thank you.
What I'll do is I'll contact Mrs. Phillips over there and
Ann Phillips, okay.
try to get something in this week's bulletin. I believe their deadline is Wednesday.
Okay, very good. Thank you, folks, very much. Thanks you for all this. Again, I thought Janet and Stephanie's efforts were great. Let's grassroots it also. Please ask your friends and family in town to fill out. I know Mike also shared with us, and I would direct or ask all of the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission to review. I'm a data fiend. I'm a data nerd. So the piece from 2021 Town Profile on Advanced Connecticut had some great demographics and general information regarding Ashford. It's some pieces that really help you see how Ashford fits into and as compared to other towns, as well as the listing of affordable housing listings of those towns that do qualify and meet the 10% affordable housing state requirement, and the other 130 some odd towns that do not, including Ashford in there. Mike, I'd ask one thing, the 2010 census, what's that a census of? Is that of housing, of domiciles?
Where are you? What are
I'm
you referring
looking,
to?
I'm looking at the second column on the affordable housing appeals list, non-exempt municipalities. Actually,
Yeah.
it's the second column period of both charts.
One second, let me pull it up.
I have a feeling that's what it's talking about as opposed to population.
2010 census.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's, I believe that is housing, total number of housing units.
Okay.
Yeah,
it would make sense to be that 1900, because then there's 4,200 in Ashford. The other or the third piece of data was from the Partnership for Strong Communities Housing Data Profile. Again, really great information regarding how Ashford sits in as compared to the Windham County and in Connecticut itself. Percent of all homes occupied by owners, number of single family homes, number of building permits, age of units built before 1970, and affordable homes as a share of all housing units. So again, it's just some great data for you to try and wrap your head around and take a look at. Mike, I don't know if there's anything specific in there, not to put you on the spot, but anything specific in there that caught your eye or brought to your attention? Or should be brought to our attention?
I don't think there's anything that is overly unique, as compared to Coventry, Mansfield, or Willington, where it's like, this is making Ashford way different than its neighbors. So nothing that, we went over some of that stuff when I did that PowerPoint presentation, but I don't think there's anything drastic that I would mention at this point.
Okay, one of the things that I did look at was the age distribution, because again, in looking at affordable housing, and one of the things we talk about is so much that it's people that are working and trying to move into Ashford, but it's the aging of people trying to stay in Ashford, where they've grown up, so to speak, and lived their lives. And what you see is that 32% are in that 40 to 60 or 40 to 59 range. So they are aging. That's the largest group. That's 32% as compared to 24% of 20 to 40-year-olds and 22% of 60 to 80-year-olds. So, it's the largest group, and it's going to get older, and it's going to need places to stay, and people are going to need to have affordable housing to cover that in some way, shape, or form. So again, just a piece that caught my eye as I looked at it here. The median household income, 70,000, almost 71,000. So again, I encourage the members to just take the time and take a look at the data and get to know some of the demographics that are around Ashford and what it means for their housing, their community, their age population, that type of thing.
I'd also just like to point out that based on, I scrolled through the responses I got, and some people
A
are,
preview. Okay, go ahead.
well, some people are confusing affordable housing with low income housing.
Yeah.
So they're saying, no, we don't need it. You're going to have crime, and they're getting worked up about it. So that's just something, if you're talking to people, make sure they understand.
That's a, some towns see that, and that's informative in and of itself, because one of the things that some towns find is that the biggest way they can move the needle on the topic is to make sure that people are educated on what we're talking about. People feel uncomfortable about these ideas because they have this thought in their mind about what it is that we're talking about. And when you do some education, explaining them that we have it already in town, and they understand, they're less opposed to it. So in many cases, an educational campaign is the first recommendation of the affordable housing plan.
That might be something to include if you're putting it out again in the next citizen.
Or for that matter, even as part of a preface on the beginning of our plan, also with definitions of what it really means. Yes, Bill.
Yeah, this conversation reminds me of something. When we were proponents and just starting up the concept of considering elderly housing in town, we ran into many of the same questions that Janet is, that simply needed some clarification. I'll never forget, we were working with a group called Community Opportunities out of Boston, who were our grant administrators. And we called a public hearing, and we had about 60, 70 people there at Knowlton Hall. And we had a stenographer in the back of the room. And I asked the stenographer at the time, I was chairman of the Housing Authority, to document all of the questions. And if we had the answers, to document what the answers were. But if we didn't, to do that. And many of them, again, were along the lines of being able to explain what the definitive thing was for elderly housing, whatever, because these same sort of questions that Janet referred to were coming up about, low income and the implications of that. And it ended up, we had 80 questions by the end of the night. And we called another public hearing for about, must have been 3 or 4 weeks afterwards. And we printed out those 80 questions with the answers, and we handed them out to people at the door as they came in. And cut this story a little shorter, we only had about 20 questions at that second public hearing, and most of them were leaning positively to it. And what we found from that and learned was that if you can define exactly what you're talking about to people, you're going to minimize the rumors and a lot of the implications that people read into these things that aren't necessarily true. So again, I always get back to this. It's a matter of definition of communication and expressing what your ideas and what your goals are. And the more we can do that, I think the better off we are.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Any other questions regarding affordable housing? Michael, well, I just asked a question of anyone. Any questions? Michael, next steps is as you see it.
So I think we can continue to leverage these communication channels to try to make sure we have a, reasonable number of responses. And then what we'll do is start working on sort of the nuts and bolts foundation component, which is basically an evaluation of the data, the demographics, not with the survey, but a lot of what you talked about. We include that as what we call the front end. It sort of sets the table for, here's all the data from all the different people and places and entities, and this is what it's saying. And then we add in the survey results when that's done, and it starts to create a little bit of a picture of kind of what we might want to start doing. So that will give us the time to leave the survey open.
Okay. All right. And again, I appreciate what your reach out was, and again, what the subcommittee members were able to help out with. So again, let's do that. Let's not wait till the next meeting. If there's, something specific we need to do or can help out with. You did reach out to us regarding the survey and got all kinds of feedback. So again, let's use what's at our disposal and the groups that are there to work with you.
And Janet and Catherine and others, I guess if you need me to continue to print more paper copies, just let me know and I'll fire a bunch off, because I know I printed 100. It seems like you're going to go through those, so I can make more if need be.
Okay, I still have quite a few, and Kit at the senior center printed off a bunch for herself.
Okay.
But thank
Just
you.
let me know.
Let you know.
Yeah, Mike, this is Dick. I would encourage you to get a larger and more graphic insertion for the citizen. I'm not sure what you need to do to convince them to put a full page in, but if you can do a little bit promotion so it stands out to people in the citizen, I think that would be good, because as you point out, that does go to every household.
Yeah, I think the last one was just and I didn't do the layout. I just sent her the text. It was just a matter of timing. So if we know ahead of time and she can reserve a larger piece of real estate, we can work up something that's more eye-catching.
And also to Dick's
I
point,
found the citizen.
go ahead, Jerry.
I found the citizen very easily. I just got home today from Canada. I was away for 10 days. And I went through the citizen quick and I found it. And I thought it was very well done.
I guess the only other thing that and maybe, someone already accused me of dating myself earlier on a statement. I was taken a little aback by using the Q code reader also, or that being the access to it. Do you think it's possible for us to just list the survey, or are you trying to keep a control over the surveys going out?
What do you mean by list the survey? Like
have the actual questions in on the page of the citizen?
That's 4 pages, and it'll increase her postage rate.
Even with a smaller font, something like the transfer report, or is that just too small?
I don't know. Well, I know we tried to put something in that was 2 pages for sustainable, and we couldn't do it, but Mike could check with her. I don't know.
We could certainly publish the questions, but we're not going to be able to collect the responses. The QR code is just the easiest way because everybody has a phone and it's mobile friendly. But like I said, we can.
But we're all not 28 years old, Mike.
I know, but I will say, and neither am I. We did have we had 100 and something people just from the Lake District survey, and we used the same format, a QR code. But yeah, I think what we can do is we can send out all these different, to all these different contexts that we've talked about, give it a week or two and see where we're at.
Sure.
And if we still are worried about not having a representative sample, we can kind of go from there. I mean, if the 19th is the deadline, that gives us 10 days to try to drum up some responses before the next citizen.
And let's see what you get from your electronic response. Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got the efforts at the churches also. Okay, very good. So we'll close out unfinished business on, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, Janet, yes.
It's not on the agenda, but you had asked the Clean Energy Task Force for a timeframe on working on the solar regulations.
Yes,
And we plan to have a draft ready by the July meeting.
okay. So we will have you on the schedule for that. Thank you.
Mhm.
This is Dick again. When we did the revisions to the planning and zoning regs several years back, we did have a section on solar and a section on wind. And it was decided at that point in time to not put them into the regulations.
Unneeded.
I would have to go back and try to resuscitate those, but what I had done for both the wind and the solar had looked, and probably the furthest along on developing those were Massachusetts. And I found several good examples in Massachusetts that I had extracted parts for them to come up with a proposed regulation. And rather than starting from this,
Well,
you
Dick,
know,
we've already we've been working through Energize Connecticut and with SoulSmart, and they have some up-to-date regulations that we're modifying, and we'll bring them to the board. And at that point, if you feel they need changing, that's fine. But we have looked at some other towns as well.
yeah, Janet, I'll see if I can find those.
Okay.
The thing I would recommend is, rather than approaching this as a proponent to put solar on buildings and houses in town, that we look at this as a land use regulation that includes the kinds of things you think about on a land use regulation, not as on trying to promote solar. I have nothing wrong with promoting solar, but you need to, be more tuned into the abutters and the,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mhm.
yeah, and when I looked over, I didn't look at the most recent one, but when I looked at the first one that was sent in by that company, it was more focused on promoting solar. So I'll find that and dig it up. And if you can just take that into advisement
Mhm.
too. I don't necessarily have the time or energy right now to jump right in the middle of this. I'm still trying to get over my recovery from this back surgery. So sitting down is something that I don't do too well.
Well, just to make you feel rest at ease, we are taking generally a middle ground. They have the total
Permissive, more permissive, right.
and then the
Yep.
total restrictive, and we're trying to make it work, for what we think people in Ashford would like.
Yeah, the kind of thing that I would get concerned with is if my next door neighbor put up an articulated solar facility, and that it ended up reflecting into my living room windows, things like that.
Mhm.
Those are the kinds of things that were considered in some of the things that were done several years back ago.
Right. That's a good
All right.
point.
All right,
Okay.
thank you both very much.
Mhm.
We'll look forward to maybe some activity in July on that, some reporting back to us. Okay, moving on to the new business. It is the discussion based on our public hearing for the PZ 22-2 special permit for Pompey Hollow, the Pavilion. And I open it up for discussion regarding the application.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose that we have for this, I'd like to see a lighting plan. Because all projects that I work on, we have to have a lighting plan to go forward with anything. I mean,
Would that
a lighting plan can be very simple, just to state what kind of lighting fixtures they're gonna have, like a full cutoff and no light pollution. There's always, we run into on projects is that people say that they think they can put floodlights up, which flood out the whole neighborhood, and it's not gonna fly. That's not
Right, we have,
approved.
we have the lumen restrictions, we have the directional restrictions and such. So you're thinking contingent upon a lighting plan?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, it can be done with that, as long as everybody knows what's going on.
Acceptable lighting plan.
And there should be a limit on the sound system also. But you can't hear me.
No, I hear you. I'm just taking notes. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
Well, we
If-
don't,
if-
again,
if
we don't have a noise ordinance in town. And again, I think the fact that they've been doing what they've been doing over the last 2 years with the same sound system bode well for, not exceeding any limits that cause any community complaints or anything like that. And I'm always sure they'd be responsive to anyone who would come to them with any type of complaint in that area at this point. But because again, we can say limitations on sound system, but you can't just put it out there. It's got to have, whereas what Alex was talking about, we have restrictions, we have definitive ordinances on the lighting that can take place. On the sound, it's really, our basics are the DEP and the morning and evening limitations that the state requires, which is, I can't even begin, I know 10 or 11 p.m., some of the same things we try and apply to the campground and its concerts and things like that. I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing, but again, I don't think the town really doesn't have limitations on noise
Jeff,
except for the DEP. Yes,
I
Dick.
had looked at this at great length about 3 or 4 years ago when we were talking about a wind farm going into exit 72.
Yeah.
And noise is regulated at the state level.
Right.
And there's really very little the town can do except to go along with what the state regulates. So there's no, to come up with another sound regulation on top of that is next to impossible. That has to be literally approved by the state and the DEP, and there have to be specific reasons why we would ask them to do that. And I rather doubt that we would find one to do on this application.
I tend to agree with that, Dick. Again, and that's really what I was referencing. There are some state limitations, that are commonplace with the early morning, late evening limits and things like that. But when you get into the decibels and things like that, it all falls under deep. And there are towns that do have some noise ordinances, but that's not where we're looking to go right now. I don't think it's, I personally don't think it's going to be an issue based on their track record for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. Anyone else?
Mike, you, I take it, have been working closely with the folks at Living Proof in developing the package. Could you kind of summarize what is in the package from your perspective and whether there are things that comply with or do not comply with what you'd consider acceptable?
Sure. So there's a couple of things. One, the reason why this is a non-concern for me is because this pavilion does not facilitate any use which is not already happening on the property. So the only thing that changes here is that there's a structure that's built. The events, the people, the timing, the location, everything else is the same. And if this application were to be denied, everything would continue, right? So this is not a use as much as just approving a structure. The other thing is that the state passed, laws related to outdoor dining for restaurants, and the outdoor sales of goods and things. We had executive orders to facilitate all of that, but this doesn't fall under that. So if this were a restaurant asking for an approval of a pavilion to do outdoor dining, we'd be treating it totally differently because the state says we have to, but they didn't really deal with something like a church that wants to conduct events outside, which is why they had to go through the special permit process. I think as far as what you're talking about, they can provide as part of the building permit process information to us on the specs for the lighting, so we can verify that they're pointed in the right direction and that they have their cutoff fixtures, etc. And if you're concerned about the noise, but we don't have regs for it, the two things related to noise are how loud it is and how long it is. So what you could do is, look at an event not going past 10 p.m. or something. But this is nothing related to the use of the property. So for me, I don't really have any additional concerns.
If we were to develop noise regulations, I don't think we would want to be developing them specifically for this one application. If we were to be developing them, we should be doing them as an ordinance for the entire town. And I think that's beyond the scope of what's in front of us right here.
Right. Okay. All fees have been paid, right, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. And again, the lighting plan itself, as opposed to be approval of this contingent upon a lighting plan, they would need to meet those requirements based on the building code, correct?
Yeah, so they would need an electrical permit, and it's going to have to meet all those criteria. But we can verify that based on the placement of the lights and the type of lights, that they're not mounted right on the front of the building, just blasting off into the property. They can be directed down or whatever.
I just want to be sure someone looks at pages 84 and 85. The zoning regs for this, whether it's the building department or whatever, since or yourself for that matter, when it comes to final approval on any of this. Because yeah, those are the outdoor lighting sections.
Jeff, if they go to an electrical contractor or a lighting specialist, they will know exactly what they need. They'll walk them through that, what they need for every contractor, and every lighting specialist knows what the laws are on the lights. It'd be very easy for them to get those, and they would give them to them for free. So they wouldn't even have to hire an architect or someone to design it.
Right. Okay. Any other input or comment on the application? At this point, is there anyone who would like to make a motion?
Motion to accept the application.
Or to
And I'll
actually,
second that.
this is actually an approval of the application. We
For
accepted it
approval of the
last time.
application.
So Jerry has motioned to approve. There was a second in there somewhere.
I'll second it. Stick.
Dick has seconded. Okay, to a vote. All those in favor of approving the application for the pavilion for the United Baptist Church of Ashford, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? I'll say abstentions because I can't hear an abstention. Abstentions? So moved. Okay, it has been approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, going into the last item, and I know he joined us earlier. There he is, coming up right on time. I need to have a motion to go into executive session regarding litigation of 154 Westford Hill Road. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Alex,
Second, Janet.
Alex, second by Janet.
Can I just
And-
jump in? The agenda had that it would include myself and Ken, but I think the first selectman who's been handling a lot of the sort of complaints and calls on this, when we spoke, I just want to give him a chance to clarify if he did or didn't want to jump in.
Bill, you're muted, Bill. I'm assuming.
Yes, I would like to join the executive session, not only
good.
for selectmen, but also as ex officio member of the planning and zoning.
Absolutely. Okay. All those in favor for the executive session?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Okay, so Mike, we
Hey,
need to go.
Jeff.
Recording in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think he had to hang around for adjournment. That's fine. Okay, so Valerie's back. We've left executive session at 9:49 and leads to adjournment.
No, it's only 8:50.
Sorry, 8:49, 8:50. I'm off an hour. You think
Just feels like 9:50.
Bill, now you know why Catherine's such a time hack on this because of my efforts. Okay, the only other thing that I just wanted to add, it really isn't a agenda session, is some of the upcoming things. I would like the board to review the ag information that Mike has posted regarding, again, how to work and play nice in the sandbox with the agricultural in your town and area for planning and zoning. If you could just review that if you hadn't, and we'll have it on the agenda for discussion for next time. I'd appreciate it. So everyone has their homework to take a look at that. And with that, I am simply looking for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Janet.
Jerry first, Janet second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your input. Be safe, be well. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night, all.
Bill, thank you for joining.